Suppose you could change anything about yourself. Where would you start? Lots of us would start on the outside. Would you be skinnier, taller, shorter, better looking? Would you change your eyes, your hair, your teeth, your legs, your bulges? If you could wave a magic wand and change your outward appearance, would it be a light touch-up or an extreme makeover? Would we even recognize you? I think we all go through periods where we desperately want to change our outward appearance. Teenagers live in a state of constant fear that they don't look good enough, so they tinker with this and try that. Experiment with this fad or that fashion or this t-shirt or that hat, or of course whatever the latest hip-hop artist happens to be wearing. But when we grow older, we get smarter. Or do we? We spend hours trying to find the right dress or just the right shirt or just the right pair of pants so that we'll fit in with whatever crowd we're trying to impress. We diet obsessively and work out, which is good for our health, but can be a losing battle after we lose the weight and finally look good. It tends to come creeping back again. Finally, you reach the stage where in life it's easier to simply try to cover it up than to lose it. In extreme cases, we may just give up altogether and stop caring about how we look. But as hard as it is to change on the outside, it seems infinitely harder to change on the inside. If there's anything we know about human nature, it's that people change slowly, if they change at all. Think about the struggles of your own life. What would you change about yourself on the inside if you could? Would it be an impatient spirit? Would it be a critical tongue? Would it be envy of those around you? A spirit of discontentment? Would it be lingering resentment? Would it be a lust you can't conquer? Would it be financial mismanagement or a guilty conscience or maybe even the inability to work with others? Overbearing stubbornness, a judgmental spirit, quick-tempered, profound discouragement. It could be an inability to appreciate life or an ungrateful spirit, disorganized life, inability to say no. Would it be a mean streak you can't seem to get rid of? We all want to change something, but we don't know how to do it, and we don't know where to begin. We all dream of being something different and better than the person we are today, and advertisers know this. That's why your email box is crammed with ads promising that you can lose weight now, make money overnight, or learn a new language and become a better lover. Watch unwanted pounds melt away. Yeah, I like that metaphor. It sounds like fun. Take this pill or eat this supplement or drink this super duper energy drink, and presto, those unwanted pounds will just melt away. What could be easier? But folks, change is hard, isn't it? Go to any bookstore and you will see an entire wall of self-help books. Helping people can change is big business nowadays. But when we get up in the morning and look in the mirror, all we see is that same old person looking back at us. That's why we move. We change jobs, get a facelift, buy a new car, start a new career, or find a new boyfriend or girlfriend, go to a new church, start working out, and buy a new outfit, and it goes on and on. It's not as if those things are wrong themselves. Sometimes we need to make outward changes, but it's not the outward stuff that trips us up. It's the stuff on the inside that we can't seem to fix. And that brings me to one of the better known verses in the New Testament, Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. Most of us change slowly if we change at all. And few of us make lasting changes, except under pressure, and as a result of personal pain. I know that one. There is no growth without struggle. And high school coaches have been teaching us for years, no pain, no gain. Long-held habits can be changed, but it won't happen overnight. Patterns of sin can be broken, but it will take more than a quick prayer at the end of a worship service. You can see significant growth in your personal spiritual life, but it won't come without a cost. As long as your life is going well, why should it change? Living together in close proximity over a period of months means that whatever is in your heart will come out sooner or later. If you've got a tendency to cut corners, your friends will spot it. If you fudge the truth, if you are a chronic excuse maker, if you have a critical spirit, if you have a root of bitterness, or if you're just a difficult person to be around, it's all bound to come out eventually. But my friends, I've got good news. There is something that you can do about it, and that something is what Romans 12:2 is all about. It tells us that we can be transformed when our minds are renewed. How does this happen? One, we must be transfigured on the inside. So look at that word transfigured. The Greek word for transformed in Romans 12:2 is related to the English word metamorphosis. And I think most, if not all of you, will recall from the 7th grade science class that metamorphosis is the process by which a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, or maybe a tadpole becomes a frog. It's a gradual change on the inside that produces a total transformation on the outside. And I use the word transfigured because this same Greek word is used for the transfiguration of Christ, when the true glory of Christ began to shine through his humanity. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became radiant, intensely white, and no one on earth could bleach them. Mark 9:2-3. The word means to be changed or transformed from one thing to another. So think of it this way. When Jesus was transfigured, he did not cease to be Jesus. He was still who he had been moments before, but for a brief time, the curtain was pulled back, so to speak. And James, Peter, and John saw as much of the true divinity of Christ as many men can see and still live. In that moment, they saw the real Jesus, the true Son of God from heaven. He did not cease to be a man, but his true identity was revealed to them as true God of true gods. When Jesus was transfigured, he did not cease to be Jesus. So I want you to consider what happens when a caterpillar enters the cocoon, only to emerge later as a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't change its basic nature. A metamorphosis reveals what was always there in the genes of the caterpillar. Caterpillars can't fly, but they were born to fly. So how do we solve this conundrum? With metamorphosis. When the caterpillar has changed into a butterfly, it becomes what God always intended it to be. So let's just study a caterpillar for a moment. Better yet, take a half dozen and put them on a table and let them crawl around. Now, suppose you knew nothing about metamorphosis and someone said those crawly things will turn into butterflies one day, and now you would think it was a joke. You can't tell by looking at a caterpillar that one day it will fly. It just simply seems impossible. When the Apostle John said that now we are the children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known, 1 John 3:2, he was talking about our future when we are with the Lord in heaven. But it's also true in this life. God is in the transformation business, and you can't tell, you just simply can't tell who will end where and what plans God has for you and me tomorrow. God is determined that we will all be like Jesus in the end. Romans 8:29 says that we are predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. Look, my friends, all of us are works in progress. We're not finished, we're not glorified, not perfected, and not completed. We are all under construction. If you've ever visited a construction zone, you know that it's noisy and it looks very messy. While the hammering and sawing continues, it's hard to imagine what the final result will be. But God never stops working on us because there's so much work that needs to be done. A couple points. If you concentrate on your weakness, you will lose your confidence. If you concentrate on God's faithfulness, you will grow in confidence. So what makes us think that God will ever finish the job? In my mind's eye, I picture God as a sculptor working with a rough piece of marble, a very rough piece of marble. He's working on a big chunk named Stephen, and it's a hard job because the chunk is badly marred. It's misshapen, discolored, and cracked in odd places. It's about the worst piece of marble a sculptor could ever find. But God is undeterred, and he works patiently at his job, chipping away the bad parts, chiseling an image into the hard stone, stopping occasionally to polish here and there. And one day he finally finishes one section of the statue. The next morning when he returns to the studio, that section is all messed up. I thought I finished that yesterday, he says. And who's been messing with my statue? Folks, it turns out that culprit is me. I'm my own worst enemy. What I thought would improve the things has only messed them up. But God is faithful. He patiently picks up his chisel and goes back to work. He's chipping away everything that doesn't look like Jesus. And in my case, it's evident that he's had a long way to go. But my friends, I am encouraged. I'm encouraged by the certain knowledge that he won't quit halfway through a project. What God starts, he finishes. You can take that to the bank. Romans 12:2 teaches us about the spiritual metamorphosis. God intends that we slowly but surely be transformed into the image of Christ. And a few points: it will not happen by accident. It does not happen overnight. It cannot happen without the Holy Spirit. It happens when we make a personal commitment. It happens with the godly encouragement of other Christians, just like you and me. It happens as we become what God made us to be. And it happens as we behold the glory of Jesus Christ. My friends, you're embarking on a great adventure, and we all are. It won't be easy. It certainly won't always be fun. But it can be nerve-wracking to have your weaknesses exposed under pressure. But there's no other way to get better, and certainly no other way to grow in Christ. So when I part this world, engraved on my headstone will be these words: end of construction, and thank you for your patience. So listen quietly, folks. Do you hear the faint sound of hammering and sawing on the inside? Just be quiet and listen, because when God is finally finished, you will be like Jesus. And ladies and gentlemen, that's my message for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to take a little bit of time and thank each and every one of you for your prayers and your support and the issues I've had in the past couple of months. And with that, I want to wish each and every one of you a blessed and very happy New Year. If you wish to donate to this channel, the donation links will be below in the description. And until next time, God bless you and your families. Thank you.